I think the reality of the Holy Spirit's presence, especially in this church in the country, is that the fundamental reality is that we are resisting the Spirit. And I think the fundamental reality is that we have especially resisted the Spirit in thinking about place, where we live, in geography. We have had no serious thinking in terms of discipleship in relationship to real estate, in relationship to developers, in relationship to land. We've had no serious discipleship in thinking about those things. We have allowed the entire world to be a part of economic calculation and not gospel calculation. That's the bottom line for us. We resist the Spirit saying, stop being quiet when it comes to how communities are formed, how neighborhoods are formed, how, when I go places and lecture, I always say the most important ethical meeting that happens in any community is when the city commissioners meet once or twice a month, and they sit there and there's nobody out there in the audience, and they're deciding on price points for homes. They're deciding on where streets will go, where bus routes will run. These are deep moral issues, and we are not there. And so I would much prefer to talk about Christians going to those meetings than talking about what we're doing in the church. Because if we're not at those meetings, I really don't care what you're doing in the church, because you're not making any difference. If you are not talking about where buses run, where sidewalks are and where they're not, I don't care what you're talking about in the church, because you're not making any difference to people who can only ride buses. You're not in the room, but you want to bring them into your church, but you're not in the room. I'm sorry, I'm fussing now. Forgive me. Fussing.
We're feeling it. Give us the 30 seconds of wisdom on that more. Are you thinking of cooperatives, financial movement?
Yes. I want to begin with knowledge. So I'm repeating myself now, but I want to begin with knowledge. I want everyone here in this room to find out when your city commissioners meet to discuss bus routes, housing, price points, real estate, and I want every Christian here to go to those meetings. And I want you to learn how your cities function, how your towns function. And I want you to push against the segregation that is built inside economic segregation. I want you to fight and argue about where people are allowed to live, where people can't live, about housing, about fair housing. I want you to be there pushing as hard as you possibly can, because when you do that, you'll start to address whiteness.